More often than not, when you ask a filmmaker on YouTube what camera you should get, I think the response is usually gear doesn't matter and you can make good videos with your phone. Now, while I totally agree with that, I honestly don't think that it's the best advice. Hey everyone, my name is Nigel Bajos and this is my cat Waffles. So today I kind of wanted to revisit a question that I've gotten many times here on my channel, and that is, what is the best camera I can get for the lowest amount of money? Now, I've done a video about this before, so you can check that out right there. But basically in that previous video, I talked a little bit about the Panasonic GH3 and how you can get it for around $100 to $150. Now, the Panasonic GH3 is not the most impressive camera out there, but with a budget of like 250 bucks, you really have to kind of lower your expectations down to a realistic spot. Yeah, you can make really awesome videos with your phone, but the problem with phones is that they have really small sensors and you can't get that nice shallow depth of field that most people are looking for when they're trying to make videos. So a bigger sensor means it's going to be easier to achieve a shallower depth of field, and on a phone you just don't have a big enough sensor. Whereas on the GH3 it has a micro four thirds sensor, which isn't the biggest sensor when you compare it to like a Canon 80D or the Sony A7 series, but it's way bigger than the sensor on your phone, and it'll give you a lot more pleasing images than your phone will. So as I said in that previous video, you can get the Panasonic GH3 for around $100 to $150. And that really just all depends on who you buy it off of and when you get it. The GH3 can really only be found on eBay used, obviously. This camera came out back in 2009, so you're not gonna be able to find it new, obviously. You're gonna have to search for it used. And one thing that I've found, which is a really good way to kind of like, keep track of a camera that you're trying to buy, is if you have the eBay app, all you really have to do is search for something. Let's go Panasonic GH3, search for it, and then all you have to do is click save, and the app will notify you whenever a listing is posted with the keywords that you put in to save. So that's one way that I get good deals on eBay, is whenever something that I want to buy gets posted, I can either buy it if it's a buy it now before anyone else does, or keep track of it and bid on it when the auction's about to end. Now, the cool thing about the Panasonic GH3 is that it can be hacked with a P-Tools hack, which is the same kind of hack that you can do with the Panasonic GH2. And I mentioned the GH2 in that video as well, and that is also a really good camera. And if you can get that camera for just a few bucks more than the GH3, I would definitely go for the GH2. That's a really special camera, and it's kind of had like a cult following ever since that hack was developed for it. And it gives some really spectacular video, and I can even stack up against some of the more expensive and popular cameras. But the cool thing about the P-Tools hack for the GH3 is that it can allow you to shoot in higher bit rates in the AVC HD format, which gives you a better looking video. And honestly, it gives you a better video than the Canon EOS M would straight out of the camera. And another cool thing about the Panasonic GH3 is that since it has a micro four thirds sensor on a micro four thirds mount, you can adapt lenses to it using a focal reducer. I talked about that in that video as well, and you can adapt Nikon lenses or Canon FD lenses or Canon EF lenses with simple focal reducers that you can get on eBay for around 80 to 150 bucks. Now, since we're trying to keep the budget under $250, if you only have 250 bucks to spend on a camera, I would say if you can find the GH3 for around 100 to 150 bucks, I definitely wouldn't spend more than 150 bucks on the GH3. Then I would say start looking at some C-mount lenses or some of the cheaper lenses that are being sold on Amazon that go under the name of the Meike lenses. Those lenses come in a lot of different mounts, but they can be had for roughly around 80 bucks. So getting a Panasonic GH3, hacking it, which is free, and then getting an $80 lens on Amazon, that'll only really put you back around 200 to 230-ish bucks. And after that, you really only just need a a memory card, and maybe a microphone if you can afford that, I would definitely recommend the Meike VM10 if you can fit that into your budget. The only thing with the GH1 is that it does take a 2.5 millimeter mic, so you have to get a 2.5 to 3.5 millimeter mic adapter, which really isn't that big of a deal. But again, the Panasonic GH1, I mentioned that in the other video, it doesn't have manual audio controls, so you just are dealing with automatic gain, which honestly I didn't see as a huge letdown with the Meike VM10. I still think that mic performed really good on that camera. But in my use of the Panasonic GH1, I actually really enjoyed it. It didn't give the best image quality, but when you have a camera, like that camera only cost me $100, and then I used like a really cheap lens on it, and I even adapted some more expensive lenses onto it with a Nikon focal reducer, and I got some really good results. It was really fun to mess around with because a camera that cheap, I just feel a lot better about bringing it out in the rain or being a little bit more rough with it because it just doesn't really cost that much. But at the same time, it gives me some pretty good results that I can actually mix in with my GH3 footage. So that was just something that I found to be really cool, is that like you could still get some really good results out of a camera that was, you know, made back in 2009. So that would be my suggestion for a camera under 250 bucks. There are some other options. Obviously, you can still go with you know, a Canon T2i and hack it with Magic Lantern. It's still, the T2i is still, you know, a really good camera for, you know, how old it is, and it gives you that shallow depth of field really easily without any adapters. The only thing that I really don't like about the Canon T2i is the horrible preamps inside of it, and the fact that you really can't adapt a lot of lenses to the Canon EF mount. So that's the only hesitation that I would have to go with something like a Canon T2i. If someone asked me what camera I would get if I only had 250 bucks, I would probably go with the Panasonic GH1 and probably one of the Meike lenses if I didn't have enough for a focal reducer and some old vintage glass. And then again, I would get the mic adapter and a Meike VM10. And you would probably be set to go with a setup like that. And you know, it wouldn't be footage that would like absolutely blow your mind as far as like sharpness and image detail, but it would be a really good camera to learn on and learn how to set your aperture and your shutter speeds and your ISO, and also something that would actually have a more tactile feel than a phone would. So that would be my suggestion for a camera under 250 bucks. It's a camera that I've owned before and I really liked messing around with it. You know, it is kind of hard to get a camera within that price range. You're not gonna be able to get something like 4K or anything like that, but having a camera that doesn't shoot in 4K isn't really the biggest deal. None of my videos on this channel have been shot in 4K and I haven't really seemed to mind that much. So anyways, I hope that this video helped. I'll have links to some of the deals that I found on eBay, and as well as the Meike lens that I talked about in the description below. But if this video was helpful for you, it'd be great if you hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more content. But until next time, I will see you all later. Bye.